தினம்தோறும் விளக்கேற்ற நல்ல எண்ணெய் இதயம் நல்லெண்ணெய்.
Honorable Ministers from the state and my colleagues in the GST Council, Revenue Secretary, officers of the Department of Revenue, state and central GST formations, members of the legal fraternity, and representatives of the trade and industry, and of course the media. It gives me immense pleasure to join you all today on the special occasion of the launching of the GST Appellate Tribunal, or the GSTat. This is just not an institutional milestone, but it is a symbol of how the GST has come in the last 8 years, and it is also a powerful reminder of our determination to continue improving, reforming, and also adapting it for the future. When the GST was introduced in 2017 under the visionary leadership of our Honorable Prime Minister, it was with an intention of having one nation, one tax, and one market. A fragmented and complicated web of indirect taxes gave way to a seamless common market. And the guiding idea was unity in policy, unity in compliance, and unity in economic purpose. Since then, the GST Council, working with states and union territories, has refined and strengthened this system. GST has grown as a reliable revenue source, widened the tax base, and ensured more formalization and becoming a foundation for India's growth story. Reform is a continuous process, and you'll agree that the GST must involve, and it is evolving around the principle of simplicity and ease of living. From the ramparts of the Red Fort, about which my honourable colleague referred, and also the earlier speakers have referred, that the Honourable Prime Minister announced that the next generation of GST reforms will be launched well before Deepavali. I thank the GST Council members, literally every one of them, the ministers from the various states, sat through the whole day, went through the next generation reforms that were proposed. It was earlier discussed in the 3 group of ministers as well, and then took a call that it is the need of the hour, it has to benefit the common people, and as a result we had the next generation reforms being cleared by the GST Council. I repeat, I thank every one of the members of the GST Council for having taken this a very forward-looking step on that one day. Guided by a slogan, but also a creed, which the Honourable Prime Minister mentioned on the eve of the GST next generation reforms being introduced. 22nd September, a few days ago when it was launched, but the evening before, we had the Prime Minister speak, and he used a very endearing slogan, I think, which will run in all our consciousness: Nagrik Devo Bhava. We have always heard, and we believe in, as India, we believe in Atiti Devo Bhava. But here, for a policy maker who called himself as the first servant of the country, and not so much the Prime Minister himself, he put the citizen at the center of policy making, and therefore, in the context of the next GST reforms, he said Nagrik Devo Bhava. And we are moving with a citizen-first lens that values time, clarity, and also savings. So the next GST reforms, or the next gen GST, is actually delivering exactly that. That the outcome of this festival season is now nationwide being referred to as GST Bachat Utsav, and across the sectors and across everyday life. Only to refer to actually what is developed in the ground after the introduction of the new GST is you saw the automobile sector reflecting this momentum. Every early report in the media pointed to the unprecedented sales and bookings in the first 2-3 days of this Bachat Utsav. This surge is actually built on a decade of steady reforms. It is just announced to be implemented from 22nd September, but the policies which prompted deeper localization and steady economy, which aids capacity needed for scale, quality and resilience. These capabilities are now power products of the world, with rising exports of vehicles and components. The foundation is ease of doing business, steady practical tweaks being based on feedback. We simplified the procedures, digitized touch points, and set predictable timelines so that keeping the taxpayer and the consumer experience at the very center. The next generation GST, therefore, sits within the same approach. Rate rationalization, as was announced, simpler compliance, and clearer refund and ITC pathways. Together, these strengthen purchasing power of the people, business planning, and also reinforce the momentum behind the Bachat Utsav. This is where I think the GSTat matters, which is getting launched today. Ease of living for taxpayers extend beyond filing and refunds. It includes fair, efficient, and dispute resolution. The GSTat is a natural extension of this reform arm or reform arc, as you would like to say. It's an important advance for ease of doing business and a vital forum for justice. In simple terms, if I have to say this, when a taxpayer has a dispute, the first appeal lies, as was shown in that video presentation a minute ago. When a taxpayer has a dispute, the first appeal lies within the tax administration. But at the second level, whether the original order is from the center or a state, the appeal will now converge at a single independent forum, that is the GSTat. So earlier you wouldn't have had this convenience. For the first time, therefore, central and state GST disputes meet on a common platform and are adjudicated together. That is the unique quality of the GSTat for a nation which wanted to have one tax, one market. Now you also have one adjudicating body which is going to deliver justice for everybody, be it in the state or at the center. Earlier, states often differed in interpreting product classification or even the definition. We've had very many complications because of that, and the council would labor to say what kind of guidelines or what kind of clarifications will have to be issued, and this has been repeatedly an agenda point in every GST council meeting. So states often differed in interpreting product classifications and definitions. The GST council had to issue frequent clarifications, which resulted in unnecessary locking up of capital of businesses. This especially affected the small and the medium businesses and MSMEs, as we call them. With the GSTat coming in now, center and states on board, we open a new era of predictable, specialized jurisprudence. This is cooperative federalism in action, and at its best providing a single, reliable appellate spine for the GST across the country. I actually think it's one of the strongest skeletal structure. The spine of the entire GST system is going to be provided by the GSTat. So in the spirit of the Nagarik Devo Bhava, our focus for GSTat must be clear. Jargon-free decisions in plain language, simplified formats, and checklists, digital by default filings, and virtual hearings and time standards for listing, hearing, and for pronouncement. The outcome we seek is straightforward. Reduced legal frictions, greater simplicity, and delays in litigation addressed proactively. So cash flows move faster, MSMEs and exporters invest with confidence, and citizens feel the benefits of the system that we've already brought into place. However, the road to setting up GSTAT has not been easy. Let me confess this, it has not at all been easy. The journey has been long and it has been seeing very many challenges, delays, and even, I couldn't believe, but even setbacks. So setting up the GSTAT has had its own roller coaster ride. Building GSTAT has been a rigorous, consultative path of cooperative federalism, appropriate for an institution that will anchor GST jurisprudence for several decades. In 2019, and it is actually even in 2019 itself, benches of GSTAT were notified. But due to some legal issues, it was only in 2024 that the Honorable President of the GSTAT was appointed. We then began the process of selecting members and putting the infrastructure in place. That gave us a new structure, one principal bench in New Delhi and multiple state benches across the country with equal representation of technical members from the center and the states. It's absolutely unique, just as the GST is the one and only constitutional body since after independence of India. Here is an appellate or jurisprudence fountainhead, the GSTAT, coming to the rescue of the citizens in its own unique shape and size and contour. And importantly, the selection process itself is being directly monitored by the Honorable Supreme Court. So I think this has the best of everything that Indian jurisprudence can offer, best of everything that the judicial administration can offer, and best of everything that cooperative federalism can ask for. I'm confident that it is now the task of all the members to fulfill the faith reposed in them, being led by Honorable Sanjay Mishra, Justice Sanjay Mishra. From April 2026, the principal bench of the GSTAT will also act as the national appellate authority for advance rulings, providing businesses with clarity and ensuring consistency across states. This makes GSTAT not just a tribunal, it makes it a one-stop comprehensive forum for GST disputes, both before initiation and after initiation of the proceedings. We are also very encouraged, and we are ensuring that the GSTAT is supported by modern infrastructure, 31 states benches across 45 locations will make it truly accessible to taxpayers everywhere. Taxpayers will be able to file their appeals, track progress, and even attend hearings virtually. Justice will not only be fair and fast, but it will also be modern, transparent, and accessible to all. And here I must specify and specifically acknowledge the role of the GSTN and the NIC. Together, they have implemented the GSTAT portal for e-courts, which will be the backbone of this system. At this stage, therefore, let me speak directly to taxpayers, to trade bodies, and also to tax advisors. This forum is for you. And please, therefore, make full use of it. The limitation period for legacy appeals extends till 30th June 2026. Hearings are expected to commence by December this year. So prepare carefully, file peacefully, and take confidence in the fact that we have even enabled a staggering filing approach about which you've just heard Justice Mishra talk in greater detail. I think this will absolutely address concerns of anybody who thinks there's going to be a rush, a stampede, systems failing, and so on. No. A good thought has been applied. They are going to be done in a staggered fashion, and therefore there need not be any rush towards or haste towards all being there at one go. The operationalization of GSTat is an important milestone, but more than that, it's a living example of how reforms in India evolve. So it is not a formulation which comes out of somebody's office and gets implemented, but it is something which has evolved with stakeholders putting their minds together, thoughts together. It demonstrates that reforms are not static. GSTat itself has passed through multiple stages of evolution. It was tested in courts, refined in the council, strengthened in the parliament, and finally implemented for the benefit of the taxpayers and all citizens. So what began in 2017 as one nation, one tax, one market, now has also added one more, one nation, one forum for fairness and for certainty. Fairness and certainty. So I'm confident that under the guidance of the Honorable President and the members of the GSTat, this forum will become a true symbol of justice for taxpayers, a pillar of trust for businesses, and also a catalyst for India's continued economic growth. Thank you. Jai Hind.